So we are here with Miguel and we are attending the ARC conference right now. And Miguel, you have been to Singapore before?
Yes, actually, I lived in KL for a while, and I used to travel a lot to Singapore.
Okay, went to Singapore lah. So I'm going to introduce 3 cool facts about Singapore living, and I'd love to hear your opinions on life in Singapore. Okay, so the first one is that we have pro-family policies. In fact, I just read a news article that talks about how government spending on pro-family policies, which includes parental leave, which includes childcare subsidies at infant care level, childcare level, all of that has gone up from $4 billion to $7 billion. Significant financial investment in pro-family policies, but our birth rate remains extremely low. So from somebody who doesn't live in Singapore, when you look in on that situation, what do you feel about the solution of throwing money at a problem, hoping that it will change things? Do you think it may work, or do you think there are better ways?
Well, in reality, you already have the solution in your statistics. So basically, spending has gone up dramatically, and the problem remains the same or has even worsened. So really, you see that there's not an economic logic behind the low birth rate issue. Okay,
so what is the logic then in the situations that you have observed?
From my perspective, which may be very partial and limited, what I believe is that this revolves much more about cultural, anthropological issues. This revolves about, let's say, the attractiveness of forming families relative to working or relative to enjoying a good time traveling. So I think that young people, when, for instance, they finish university, they don't think about forming a family right now as they used to in the past. There are other interests that come first. One is work, professional realization is very important for them, and also enjoying their lives. As a result, so family is not attractive really in itself. You don't see exactly what is the full scope of what family means, and therefore you don't feel attracted by that.
So when family is perceived of as like a liability instead of an asset.
Correct.
What we need to then do
so
is
a liability that you need to manage as opposed to an asset that you need to develop. Actually.
That's right. So we need to make our not just family great again, but our conception of family great again in that sense.
I agree.
That's fantastic. Let me move to the second question for you. So the second question involves the birth rate crisis that we just spoke about. Are there other ways, apart from the cultural angle, that you would recommend a country consider looking at when it comes to trying to rescue our demographic crisis?
Yes, actually, this is related to your former question. Yes, because on the one hand, we have said that, say, family creation is not attractive enough, therefore you postpone it in time. As a direct result of this is a dramatic increase in infertility. So there are like some researchers that are thinking about this, and they say the people that actually want to have children, they want to have more or less, let's say, between 2 and 3 children. So basically the replacement rate is achieved. However, there's many people who have, let's say, unplanned or unwanted childlessness because they have delayed it so much. I think that the public in general is not aware that between trying to have your first baby when you're around like 25-ish to wanting to have your first baby around 30 something or 35, you lose a great degree of potential. It's dramatic. And then even if you want to have the children, you don't get there because it's probably too late. And then you are in the hands of a very strong and growing industry, which is the IVF industry.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the IVF industry. In Singapore, we have state-sponsored IVF up to about 75% of the cost. The costs vary according to which clinic you go to, but on average, let's peg it at about $10,000 per cycle. Some people are allowed to use their CPF or kind of like a state mandated savings fund in order to pay for the IVF the procedures. Now, what is your opinion on using IVF in order to try to boost fertility rates and actualize our desire for children?
Well, I think that it responds to a good thing that is in the heart of people, which is trying to help those in need.
Yeah.
So basically, you have many people that face infertility,
Yes.
and society wants to help that.
Yeah.
Not only to help the individuals, but also to make your society as an organism sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You want
Yep.
these children.
Yep.
So it's a good reaction. So it comes from a good intention.
Yes.
But the reality is that it is quite imperfect as a procedure.
Yeah.
And that there are other ways that you can achieve more or less the same in a different way with less cost and perhaps similar or even better results.
Yeah.
So I think that from an economic point of view, and I am an economist by education
Oh, okay.
and a former banker.
Okay, that explains how you're able to talk so eloquently about all of this. Okay.
Thank you. And I think that there are other ways to approach the problem, basically.
Okay, so give me a couple of those ways. How would you go
Well,
about
I think that treating infertility not as a disease in itself that needs to be resolved.
it? Yeah.
It would be good to view infertility as a symptom of some underlying health issues that the couple has and which is preventing them from having children. So I think that from a medical point of view, you should try to excel at identifying what are these underlying health issues, then putting like all the efforts in order to solve the issues, and
Yeah.
then the couple on their own on a do-it-yourself pattern.
Yeah, DIY child making.
They will have their children.
Right, right.
I think that also, not only from an economic point of view, I also think that IVF has some elements that are not good for many people. I mean, people who think, for instance, that
an embryo.
an embryo is already, it's a being.
Yep.
It's a being of the human species.
Yes.
So it's a human being.
Yep.
And, you may debate whether it is a person or not, but for many people, they are a person. So, and in the process of IVF, they are, let's say, the unspoken victims. There are many embryos that are created, discarded, genetically selected, thrown away. I think this is a problem. There's also the problem of the long-term health consequences for the children that are born through IVF.
Yes.
I think that this is more and more well researched. I think that the research about what are the health implications are a little bit not well known by the general public, but they should look to get information about this. And then there's also consequences on the mothers. So basically, IVF has some unwanted effects on mothers and children. I don't think that this is the intention, but this is an unwanted consequence of this approach.
Last question, if you don't mind. From a Singaporean's perspective, to hear these alternatives, it's actually very uncanny because we rarely hear this perspective articulated in Singapore. IVF is sometimes presented as another option to have children without the corresponding drawbacks or concerns that are attached to IVF. I myself know people who have undergone the procedure, and if we were to bring some of these talking points to them, for example, they may react strongly to say, I've done it myself, what's wrong with me? How would we approach this in a human-centric, experience-centric way?
It is actually a difficult situation, what you have just described, because, many of your friends, if not all of your friends, have tried to do the best thing they could in order to create their families.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. It is only that because they were not properly informed about everything, perhaps they have taken a choice that is not probably the best.
Yeah, sure.
But it is not their fault. This is what I would say. But I agree with you that this is a very sensitive item. Nobody should feel threatened by talking about this, but it would be good to devote a little bit of time to these issues so that a better world and a better solution to the problem of infertility is found.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.